It's Melissa from FocalPoint Wenatchee here again with another little tip for you with your kids at home. We're going to do Writer's Workshop today because we've spent the last couple of weeks talking about math, and we do a lot of math at FocalPoint, but we also do lots of language arts, and we help lots of kids with writing. And what I hear from my kids so frequently is, I don't know what to write. I don't know where to start. I don't have any ideas. And if you've ever heard of the author who wrote some amazing first novel and everyone said that they were fantastic and they never wrote another one because they had writer's block, this is what we're talking about. The experience of I don't know what to write. And here's the thing that's happening when you're saying I have no ideas, I don't know what to write. Your filter is so high that the ideas that are filtering up from your subconscious can't make it to your conscious mind because you're turning them all the way and saying none of them are good enough. Your filters are so high that you assume every idea that you do have is a failure. And that's why you're pushing them all away and saying, no, not that. And you're thinking to yourself, I have no ideas, when really what's happening is you are pushing all of your ideas back down, assuming that they are not good enough because you have fear of failure. So if we're going to deal with writer's block, if we're going to deal with I don't know what to say, we're going to have to deal with fear of failure. And let me tell you, this is the one thing that I know that can get a student writing. And this is what I tell my students. Write something bad. That seems counterintuitive. You want to ultimately have something good written, but you need to get started writing. And you're turning down all your ideas before they can even get started. So you need to give yourself permission to write something bad. If you can pour out something bad onto the paper, which has bad grammar and is poorly put together and not very well organized, our next step is going to be to revise it. And then we'll take the ideas you have, and those are starting places to improve it. Because there are so many people who have a book in their head, and far fewer who've ever written one. Because in order to actually commit and put it on the paper, you need to overcome your fear of failure, and you have to be willing to write something bad in order to then improve it and write it better. I was working with this very idea with a student of mine who's in the autism spectrum, and he was required to do something that was creative writing, and that was way outside of his comfort zone. We started with write something bad, and he started putting some ideas down, and he told me as we worked on it that this story that he was writing, it was something he would never show to anyone. He was embarrassed of it. And I said, we're going to keep going. Let's just make this into a story, and let's put it together so that all the pieces hang together and that it logically follows. And then we improved language and grammar, and we went through and double-checked it at the end and proofread. And by the time he was done and he turned it in to his teacher said, I want you to go turn this in somewhere to a contest. I want you to read it to your friends and family, because not only did she give him full marks for it, but she went above and beyond to let him know that he had written something that was incredibly creative and incredibly good because he was willing to write something bad. When I was in school, my English teacher in high school assigned our entire class to write a speech and it was for a contest, and he turned them all in, and mine won the local contest. And when I first started writing it, I was the same way. I was embarrassed of it. I didn't think that it was going to be very good, and I just put my ideas out there, and I improved them, and I rewrote until finally I was happy with what I had written. And as I said, mine won the local contest, and then it went on to the divisionals, and it won. And then it went on to state, and it won. And then I went on to nationals and got to spend a week in Washington, D.C. and meet the president and tour around the nation. And when the time came for us to have our award assembly at nationals, I was on the stage. I was one of the national finalists. So that's what can come from writing something bad. Take a risk. Get out there, get it started, spill it out on the page, feel bad about it. And then you can revise it, because that's how writing is done.